We're back. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Chateau de Mars Hill Studio /network. That's right. Whitty review time. That's right. 8 p.m. That's right. Are you wet? Are you moist? Are you chubbed? Well, I know Brad is. He's already into digging. He's ready for some chopping of the chub. That's right. 2 weeks before the end of the year, and you get a little bit of taste of me. You're welcome. And I tell you what, I am so annoyed by the IGA and how they have not updated the legislation. You know what? Real quick, but don't you worry. I always have something to bitch about, and I'm not even boozing either, unfortunately. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I wanted to talk about the bills, and they still haven't updated everything yet. This is for this year. I'm waiting on it. IGA. So from what I understand, they're not going to drop them until like the very beginning of the year. It's like, but wait a minute. January 5th is when they're supposed to go back in there. You're only going to give us like a couple of days to look at them? That's all right. That's fine. Whatever. But don't you worry. Plenty to talk about. Plenty of crap to talk about. This might even be an early show. Who could say? But with yours truly, anything is possible. All right, so let's talk about the Independent, Indiana. Now, this has been going on since September. If you don't know about these people, do not take them seriously. This is your warm-up for right now. They are nothing but a bunch of liberals, as far as I can tell. A bunch of fakers, is from what I could tell. Because there is nothing independent about at least the president. Now, real quick, I did see Rob Kendall. He had this guy, Nathan Gotch, on State House Happenings. I couldn't listen to the whole thing, not because of Kendall, but mostly because of Merritt. And this Nathan Gotch guy was just going on a word slop for the most part, and it was just getting so damn annoying. But let's just give a little background of what's going on. Allegedly, this guy, Nathan Gotch, him and a couple other band of misfits said, you know what? I think there's more independent voices than most people think. And so they created this thing. It's called the Center for, so him and this, I forgot what his name is. Josh Claiborne. They started the Center for Independent and Effective Government. And then the Independent Indiana is a project of the Center for Independent and Effective Government. So I'm doing a little research on this guy, and I always want to know the history of him. How did we get here? Because we see it with libertarians. We see it with Chase Oliver. They're mostly leftists. We see it with fake Republicans, moderates like Jefferson Shreve, who said not only does he want to repeal concealed carry, but he also wants to raise the age to buy assault rifles or guns, one of the two, whatever. It doesn't matter. Nah, son, if you are allowed to go die for somebody else's country, that means you're allowed to go and buy the gun at 18. Go see a nudie movie. Go buy a pack of Marlboros. But you're going to tell me I have to wait until 21 to buy an AR, a shotgun, a BB gun? I don't know. F off. So I look into this guy a little bit, and there's a little bit of information on him. Basically trying to, the spoiler, by the way, this is just a way to be spoiler maker for these Republican elections. Now, Rob did bring that up, and I think even Nathan did during the interview. And he's like, oh, no, there's actually more independent voices. This is about doing the whole thing. Now, what's really funny is that they had this whole thing set up on this website, and they talk about it. 44% of Indiana voters are independent or unaffiliated. I would say in 2025, that's probably true. Because right now, the GOP is run by corporate Republicans, and the Democrats are just full of maniacs and psychopaths that want to have anytime abortion. Can they care more about weed than they care about taking care of property taxes or the gas tax? In fact, remember Fede Kedora, he wants to raise the income tax in Marion County. So it continues, 31% identify as Republican, 25% identify as Democratic. Now, they said the Independent Voter Project uses L2 data for step-to-step, blah, 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 blah. I went through a little bit. I can't make sense of it, nor do I care. Because there's a few things that I don't really care about. Polls. Polls are fake and lame. I will never believe them. Why? Because I've never actually gotten a poll. I've never had a phone call. I've never had a text message. I've never had anybody say, hey, do you mind taking this poll? That includes my own shitbag state rep. All right, so They put out a report. I don't know if they actually paid for this thing, but they said there's a report on competitive elections. So just as a quick back up a little bit. This is going to be half the show, and then the second half of the show is going to be all this refugee data that I found. It's kind of like the USAID stuff. You're going to want to stick around for it. All right, so in this information, they actually talk about like what the problems are and what can be done about it. Now, in the executive summary, they say Indiana's elections are no longer meaningfully competitive, which in some way, yes. But I live in the left armpit of Indianapolis, so that's a hard yes. Because over half of the voters are a bunch of morons, and they will always vote for a poop-filled sock or a sock full of hobo jizz. Whichever, there it is. Number 2, Indiana's rules and institutions amplify one-party control and weaken voter agency. Like I said, I live in a supermajority Democrat city. Number 3, Hoosiers are dissatisfied with the two major parties and open to alternatives. Yes, if there were all actual alternatives, but I am here to tell you there is no such thing as an independent. There is no such thing as a neutral, even if you look at it as a social thing. Now, you could say, oh, you're not a fan of anytime abortion. One would say that you are a hard right extremist. Hey, I do not want babies being aborted right before they're about to be born. That would make you a Nazi in 2025. If you were to say, hey, I do not want porn in schools, that would make you a hard right extremist, according to Democrats like Brad or Dusty Wells. Number 4, independent candidates are winning locally. Okay, I would like to know where they are winning. Anywhere like when you talk about population more than 30,000. I don't know if you guys know this, but in Wayne Township alone, there are 150,000 people here. So if you're going to say an independent can win in just a township of Wayne Township, you're crazy. Maybe if you're in bumfuck Indiana, you could probably win an election, like in Brazil, Indiana, where I think they only had like 100 votes for the mayor of Brazil. Sure, maybe you have a chance in independent. Anywhere where there's more than 20, 30,000 people, good luck. All right, number 5, independent success has not sealed because Indiana's system imposes unusually steep barriers. Now, what they're talking about is for statewide elections. Why don't you go for local stuff then? I don't know, school board, go into some county or some township that has like 1,000 people in there. Maybe you have a chance at it. Now, what they are blaming it on mostly are straight ticket voting and the 2 primary rule. Now, first off, I wasn't always a fan of the 2 primary rule, like I understood it, but the deeper that you go into this and seeing how Democrats like to vote in Republicans primary, like mine, which is partially the reason why I lost against Julie Calvert-Watts. True story. I actually saw the data. There were Democrats voting in that primary for Julie that used tire straight ticket voting. And by the way, I talked to somebody in Hendricks County, and I wanted to know, because in Marion County, if you do hit the button for straight ticket voting, you still have to go through every person that's a Republican and making sure. I even tried it out the very first time that I voted in 2020. And they said, do you want to vote for straight ticket for all the Republicans? I go, sure. And you still had to go through every one. And then I ended up voting for Rainwater in 2020 instead of Holcomb. And it said, hey, guess what? It actually said it on there. Hey, guess what? You're not doing straight ticket anymore. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to do straight ticket anyway. Stop. And then I asked somebody in Hendricks County, I'm like, how does it work the same way? He goes, nope. You hit straight ticket. The next screen is you vote, and that's it. Yes, Brad, you are correct. The Republican primary is the real election in many areas. And by the way, that goes for Democrats as well. And you saw that with most of these primaries. You see it with locally with the council. You see it with state reps, and even senators too. Now, what are the recommendations? Repeal straight ticket voting. You know what? Fine. Repeal straight ticket voting. I'm fine with that. In fact, I encourage it. I am totally on board with repealing straight ticket voting. Why? Because a lot of times it doesn't matter. You spend like literally an extra 30 seconds, because most of these people live in smaller areas. And all you have to see, it literally says Republican on the name or R. And oh God, another 30 seconds that I have to hit the buttons. Okay, there we go. Room temperature IQ fuel. That's all it is. All right. Restore Indiana's signature requirements for independent candidates to pre-1980 levels. Now, Indiana's 2% signature requirements was increased during 1980, returning the threshold to its previous 0.5% level will preserve ballot integrity. I actually don't care about this. This is all it is trying to steal in Indiana. All it does is take votes away from the Republicans. Now, there's an argument for that, but if there was any real money spent on libertarians, I would say, yeah, go for it. And there's going to be even less money spent on independents. What are we even talking about here? Nah, leave it. 2%. I don't give a shit. And by the way, that's only for statewide. Like you want to run for major office. And I remember there was something in there about like, oh, well, each signature, if you do a campaign on it, which is true, if you pay somebody to do it, it's like $15 a verified signature, or you can go and do the work yourself. Wow, what a novel idea, right? Instead of paying somebody. All right, number 3, build durable campaign infrastructure for independent candidates. And I love this part. The very first part, Steve in the chat, Polly in the chat, Brad's in the chat too. Yes, Polly, you are correct. People are not educated at all on who they are voting for. If you want to know how bad it is, stand outside of a polling center election day and have conversations with others. Here's the funniest part. Bo Bye, Birch Bye, Nepo Baby, Dipshit Bye. He goes and tries to pretend like he's cute and funny when he's just a tall dipshit and going to random people and saying, hey, do you know who Diego Morales is? And they're like, no. Ask that about anybody, by the way. Go into an area to ask them, hey, do you know blank? Don't ask them, do you know who your state rep, your state senator, your any councilman, your township ward, your township trustee? Go and ask regular people if they know who that is. I would guarantee you at least 80% of people do not know who that person was. It's not just Diego. It's anybody. By the way, someone should go ask Birch Bye, if they know who their elected officials are that's in their area. Because then you'll know if he actually lives in Bloomington or not. Or Indy. All right, so this is really funny in the first paragraph. Even with statutory reform, independent candidates will remain at a disadvantage unless they have access to professional tools comparable to those provided by the parties. Spoiler alert, you can go into the election office and get yourself a voter roll for wherever you want to go. You know how the Republicans and Democrats do it? They pay for it. They pay a company to supply all that data for it. I know because I paid for a 1-month subscription to help out a libertarian a few years ago, because I wanted that data. Because getting it through a voter roll and then inputting it manually, I don't know if you know this or not, but it takes a lot of time. So if you were to pay a company, however much money it is for a couple of months, and you can have an app for it, you can just print it all out. It's really up to you of how you want to do to it. But it's really funny that even they point out, it's like, hey, even if we were to take care of all these things, independents are still going to have a problem unless they have the money for it. Spiro in the house, let's go. There is no such thing as an independent voter, number 1. Number 2, and I'm going to prove that here in a second. Number 2, they do not have the money to raise maybe independently they can pay for their own stuff, but they do not have the infrastructure to run campaigns, to get money, to get resources, to get people to actually go out and door knock. You got to start locally, all right? These people that are going for the home runs and swinging for the fences every time, like people like Rainwater, it's never going to happen. Libertarians always think, hey, you know what? If we were in charge, we do it. It's like, you can't even win it at the local level. Shut up. Now, there are like a few things on this report. I didn't even bother going through all of it. It's kind of boring, to be honest with you. But I do want to talk about what I was saying before about this Nathan Gotch guy, when I said there's no such thing as an independent voter. Now, there's an article from IndianaPublicRadio.org saying they interviewed Nathan and Gary Snyder, that big doofus Gary Snyder. He's an ugly son of a bitch, too. So he was running against Jim Banks, and he lost. He would have got the amount of votes if a libertarian was running in that spot. There's not much difference than that. He did say, believes that President Joe Biden absolutely won the 2020 presidential election, saying the 2020 presidential election was as free and fair as 2016 election. So for a questioning of the results of the 2016 election, we should be questioning the results of the 2020 election, which is very funny because there was a report that just came out the other day about how in Fulton County, there were over 300 votes that should not have been counted because they were not signature verified. Look it up. He did not want to comment on whether or not he would vote to renew the January 6th Select Committee. And he's basically saying, hey, you know what? We got to make sure that everything was okay. He did say that it's important to get to the bottom of what happened. We know what happened. A bunch of Capitol Police let these people in. Sure, things got a little bit ornery. But how many feds were there? That's what we want to know. We know that there were, but he doesn't want to talk about that. He said... he has spoken to enough Republicans saying who they just can't vote for Jim Banks anymore, who also do not want to vote for a Democrat that he feels the desire for. Why does he not want to vote for a Democrat? That's what I would like to know, because everything that he is posting on here is very left-coded. So he was once known as Fort Wayne Politics. He also used to follow Indie Reporter, but then he's a little bitch and then decided not to follow Indie Reporter anymore. Listen, if you're not following Indie Reporter, you're a tool. You're a bitch. All right, let's just be honest with you. You're not based. You're a bitch. So in the very top, all he's doing is talking about Micah. And by the way, I just want to let everybody know out there, the whole Micah talk is boring now. Only talk about him when there's something to talk about, when there's actual update on things. When there's actual news to report, not just going on tangents about Beckwith, all right? You don't see us doing that crap. Let's see, continue to the site. And he also has a blog on here and basically talking about how Tom Henry, how he was mayor, and then he ended up in hospice care and then later died. And then the person that I think took over from was done through a caucus. Hey, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but that's how most things are done. We saw that with Jack Sandlin when he died, when Cindy Carrasco took over for him. We saw that during last year's Congress run with Johnny GOP, a.k.a. Johnny Press Pass, when a dead lady won the primary. Then we had to caucus him in. Same stuff. Yeah, that's true, Barbara. If you don't follow any reporter, you are a pitman. That's right. So let's go a little bit further into his social media. Kyle Walker. Oh, yeah, that's right. Kyle Walker, Spiro. When John Ford left. When Carlin Yoder left. And then Blake, I didn't even know this, but Blake Dorio had taken his spot, which is really funny, by the way. Let's see. Oh, wait. What? No, it wasn't John Ford. Wait, how did Kyle Walker get caucused in? He got caucused in, though, right? Well, when Greg Good, he was caucused in when John Ford left. I apologize. Oh, Jim Merritt. Is that who he took over for? No running of the mouth. All right, so I think, okay, thank you, Spiro. It was Merritt. Thank you. So Merritt left. Kyle Walker got caucused in. John Ford left. Greg Good got caucused in. Carlin Yoder left. Blake Dorio got caucused in. Jack Sandlin died. Carrasco got caucused in. Oh, by the way, Liz Brown stepped down from being the chair of the Judiciary Committee, and now Cindy Carrasco is the chair of it. I do not expect things to get any better, by the way. Maybe slightly, but not much. So let's go a little bit back in time, because I think the ultimate litmus test, and if someone is a true independent voter, was how did they feel about COVID, the boosters, the lockdowns, the absolute BS that happened in 2020 until 2022. Well, good thing that I went down the old rabbit hole of Twitter. And back in 2021, he goes, how I'm trying to raise vaccination rates in my own Indiana hometown. Left-coded. Appreciate the Sherry, blah, 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 reporting on our booster campaign. Left-coded. This is really important. Omicron is coming already here. Left-coded. on here, bringitup.org. I think that's bring it. Yeah. Order 4 free home COVID tests from the U.S. Postal Service in under a minute. Very quick and easy. And here we go on the last of January 4th. 2022. Lots of good info here with Omicron infecting even vaxxed and boosted folks. Wearing the right mask is more important than ever in 2022. 2 years after this whole thing started, he's still going on and on and on. Listen, I hate to say it to you, but anybody that looks like powder should automatically give you a red flag that you should not be listening to these people. Same thing I say about Aaron Wren. You can't trust powder over there, all right? Can't do it. All right, so moving on, though. Let's go with Josh Claiborne. I'm surprised Drew isn't in the chat right now. He'd be loving this stuff right now. Someone reach out to Drew. He's going to love this stuff. So Josh Claiborne was also the other person that started Center for Independent and Effective Government. Now, I'm always curious on where they're always on the big ticket items, especially things that are happening right now in 2025. Where are they more allegiant to? Because we see like corporate Republicans, we see Democrats and everything. What are the hot ticket items? And the hot ticket items right now are all about Israel. It's all about Epstein. It's all about it's not about property taxes or utility rates. It's never about kitchen table issues. It's always about foreign affairs. As a local person who cares about, hey, am I going to have to worry about going downtown and watching some hobo light his nuts on fire? I don't care. It's like, I'm worried about that kind of stuff. Am I going to get shanked by some schizo bum who's wanting to play with himself on the steps of a church? No, thank you. So he starts talking about IPOC in here. Drew would love this stuff. On here, it talks about Jews face the far greater risk of being victims of hate crimes. On here, more about APAC. And then this is my this is how you know if someone is out of touch or not. When they start talking about Hamilton County. Now, everybody knows I do not like Aaron Wren at all. He is a fake conservative as far as that's concerned. I think that he lives in his ivory tower in Hamilton County, just like Adam Wren, who are totally out of touch of what is happening in Indianapolis. So Josh Claiborne says, one challenge for places like Carmel, Indiana, a wealthy bedroom suburb of Indiana, is that it depends so heavily on the large nearby metro. It advocates too often seem to think of it as a standalone entity, when in reality, it's an appendage. As Indy goes, so goes Carmel. This is in August of 2025. Now, maybe 5 years ago, but pre-COVID, we could probably agree with that. Voice Independent claimed there's some neutral intellectual analysis, but ultimately are followers of the grant. So true, Steve. So true. That's exactly what it is. And we saw this during COVID. We even saw libertarians go left code. They were like, hey, maybe you do need to wear a mask. Hey, maybe you do need to get a vaccine. Maybe vaccine passports aren't entirely a bad idea. We saw libertarians leaning that way. And now we see the Chase Oliver libertarians have totally hijacked the Indiana Libertarian Party. Same thing with people like Josh Claiborne, I would imagine, with COVID stuff. I think Wren is a faux conservative. I think so. Aaron Wren, RENN, and I think Adam Wren does if he does claim himself as a conservative, he is a moderate Republican. He's a Jefferson Shreve, a Mike Pence, and Mitch Daniels, a bitch-ass Republican is what I call him. All right, so he goes that. So my opinion is, in 2025, we see all the things building up in the outside counties, the donut counties. We see these $50 million pools being built in Hamilton County. We saw what happened with the hockey stadium. We got the G League. We got the F League. We got the XYZ League going with all these different sports. Westfield's building up. Noblesville is basically going to be blue in no time. Carmel is basically blue. We see all these areas building up. And I mean, Zionsville, you're cooked. Hey, Boone County, it's totally over for you. Hey, you wanted to follow the Micah footsteps of if you're not building, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. Hey, how's that turning out? You're about to lose a state rep because of all the apartments that you've built. You know who mostly vote in apartments? Democrats, morons, because they all want handouts. Most of them. All right, so then it continues with Aaron Wren, saying Carmel and Indianapolis are part of the regions that is interconnected and interdependent. The suburbs are not an appendage of the city, but the two rely on each other. No, I do not think so at all. And this is what happens when you are so high aware. You're just like throwing all that data because I live in it. I live in this shithole called Marion County. Indianapolis needs Carmel, needs Hamilton County. Hamilton County does not need Indianapolis. Maybe for places like Eli Lilly, that's about it. But we see all these people, all these places leaving. Rolls-Royce left. We see some of the bigger entities moving over to Hamilton County. We saw that humongous build, I think, happening over in Zionsville with the race team. Even the people in Speedway, even the race teams in Speedway are leaving for greener pastures. Why? Because Marion County is run by a bunch of dopes. Indianapolis needs the outside counties, not the other way around. And that's how you can tell how people like Josh Claiborne and Aaron Wren are totally out of touch with the normie population. All right, now there are a couple other things, but don't want to go too deep in this. So there is another guy named Roger Dietz. He's on the board as well. I'm not entirely sure if this is the same Roger Dietz, but I do want to mog him anyway. Even if he's not, this guy does deserve to be shamed. All right, check out his LinkedIn. It's actually working finally. And they talk about, hey, we need more diversity in business. We need more women leaders. We need more rainbows, basically, in the tech world. And so if you go into here, where's my favorite one? Women for Change. He reposted. Where's the one? There's like one actual gay one. Where is it? Let's see. He was some broad was talking about Rokita. Oh, here it is, right here. Kristen Cooper. It's AG Rokita posted this on Facebook on April Fool's Day. Business leaders need to see it. If you found this stunt funny or support him, I have a few questions for you. Well, I'll tell you what, Miss Cooper, I support Rokita, and I support what he's doing right here. I don't care if it's fake or not. Total W. Thomas Wayden, let's go. And then he goes, well said, Kristen Cooper. This is exactly the kind of idiotic and harmful behavior that gives Indiana a black eye. We need more business leaders speaking about this unacceptable behavior from a statewide official. Steve, I think you were in the chat on Saturday. We kind of talked about this. Hey, guess what? We don't need that kind of stuff in the tech world. We were doing just fine before people are getting their asshole blown open, before they were swallowing guzzles of jizz. The tech world will be fine without any of this crazy rainbow stuff. Base Rokita, by the way. And we'll be fine after it's all done. I mean, they're all basically killing each other anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, there's a couple of one. There's also some Indian too named, I think that Johnny Press Pass went to Ball State with Jay Shattery. Sorry, Chaudhry. Not much different, not much on this guy, other than I think he works for FSSA. No, Sagamore. Okay, I'm thinking of the song. Oh, he used to work for FSSA up until October of 2024. He was director of division of mental health and addiction. Yeah, well, sounds like a dope. Anyway, that post was hilarious. It was kind of funny. All right, hold on. Is this it? Yeah, here we go. All right. Let's see. Not that one, that one. All right, so couple days ago, like 2 days ago, Oilfield Rando. Yeah, Oilfield Rando. So if you guys don't know Oilfield Rando, he does a lot of these like USID, USAspending.gov, and he's looking to see where all our taxpayer money dollars are being spent on the most ridiculous thing. We saw where like there was some rainbow teaching happening in Somalia. We saw like a bunch of like 2,000 condoms were being sent to Afghanistan, I would guess for Bakibazi. And so someone had mentioned, it's like, I wonder what's going on in Indiana. And it's like, well, I did this like a few years ago, and it's very overwhelming with all the data that there is. But, I'm a little bit more seasoned now. Veteran Whitty is on the task. I kind of know what I'm looking for to where I should be going for. So this is what I did. You go to usaspending.gov. You got to make sure that you put on the location. You have to click on, you do Indiana. Then you can pick on the fiscal year. So I went through a 10-year range of what I did. And I just did the keyword with refugee. That's all I did. Now, what's funny is that two of the contracts that were found was when they had the Afghani people, when they brought them to Camp Atterbury and they completely toasted the place. So we spent $372,000 on meals for these Afghan evacuees. And what do we get in return for it? We got poop on the bedroom wall. We got the place getting destroyed. They're probably bringing goats in. Who knows what they're doing with them? We got crazy stuff going on here. And at first, the local media, traditional media, was hiding all of it. And then what did we end up finding out? It was all real. It was all real, folks. This is why you can't. This is why, by the way, multiculturalism, that's why it doesn't work. You got people from some third world shithole. You expect them to use the toilet properly? I don't think so, pal. They're just going to wipe. They wipe their butt with their hand. Really? And you're going to teach them how to eat food properly? No, thanks. $2.5 million in damages. Thank you, Steve. I knew. I was trying to think of the numbers. Like, how much? I knew it. I thought it was like a couple $1,000,000. Thank you. $2.5 million of them destroying Cap Antibury. And by the way, who has to pay for all of that? You think the Afghans are? Nah, we do. Everybody in the chat does. BS is what it is. All right, so I go a little bit further into the grants. I really just kept my head down. That's why you don't see anything on Facebook right now, because like basically for the last day and a half, I just kept my head down and just been looking through all these grants, trying to organize them properly. At the end of this, I have like a bunch of tabs that I have lined up, but at the very end, I'm going to show you. I have a whole Google sheet, Excel, however you want to put it, and I to kind of like break it down by section. So there are 46 grants that happened with the word refugee on them. Now, not all of them had anything to do, like specifically to do with refugee. What some of them had to do with workforce development. One of them, I'm sure you guys are on Twitter, and I'm sure you saw the was it the place over in Northeast Indiana to help refugees or immigrants that have agricultural experience, basically teach them a little bit more about farming, which is very funny because we talk about wanting to teach the next generation of farmers, but yet we're going to spend our money, our taxpayer money, on teaching refugees of how to farm. Sounds like they're going to be picking cotton is what it sounds to me. And Democrats, I'm sure, are like cheering right now because they get their Uber Eats. Actually, you know what? I was talking about this with somebody last night or over the weekend, and we were talking about like why like all these big companies love all the refugees and migrants coming in. It's because you got all these fat slobs that refuse to go and get their own McDonald's or their Chick-fil-A. You got all these people going and getting Uber Eats or like some kind of Uber or Lyft, and we need some cheap labor, basically. It's so annoying. All right, so I just want to go through some of the red flags that I saw. The Burmese American Community Institute. So much money and obligations here. Some of them were English and Citizenship Instruction and Naturalization, Refugee Communities Integration Project in Central Indiana, a lot of that, Ethnic Community Self-Help. Now, some of these I started from the beginning of the year. And I really just did like the last 10 years is what I was focusing on. But on this one, I did it. Oh, no, I didn't go farther than that. There's one that I did. Oh, yeah. I did one where I just did it open from 2008 to now. Oh, I got to change that. There we go. So I went into this Burmese. You guys are going to love this crap because this is really weird. This should be investigated. Without a doubt, this should be investigated. And I don't ever take that lightly whenever I say that. Burmese American Community Institute. So I checked them out. It's obviously a nonprofit. So I find the nonprofit, Burmese American Community Institute, and it goes to Elisa Vani. And here's the address of the principal officer, 1503 Quinlan Court. So we go into property card, open information, public information. But where does the owner's mailing address go to? Some apartment in Frankfort, Kentucky. Very weird. But when you go and check out their fiscal from 2024, they had a crazy amount of donations from they had, how much was it? They had $1.9 million in government grants. And then they spent, where is it? The wages. $1.7 million on salaries and wages. It's like, well, where are they even getting all this money from? This is obviously part of the USA, U.S. government spending. But then, they obviously go on here and they talk about They've assisted more than 30,000 individuals through its various programs, Upward College Program, UCP for high school students that help the students with college preparedness, linguistically and academically, as well as for their future success for civic and cultural. What is that? And cultural education program. Very interesting. But contributions and grants from the current year of 2024, $3.6 million, which is kind of bananas, to be honest with you. But when you check out the address, the mailing address goes to Kentucky. Exodus refugees. Steve, we've talked about this one how many times? So many times, haven't we? Dude, I went to an Exodus. I can't go to them anymore because they're not going to know who I am. But Exodus refugee openly talked about how they're like each person gets $400. They get apartments. They get fully furnished apartments there. In fact, they were looking for help to help move furniture into these furnished apartments for these refugees. And where did a lot of these refugees come from? The Congo, the rape capital of the world. These are the people that we're bringing in. And by the way, a lot of these refugees, this is something that's not talked about, which I talked to enough teachers to know this, but a lot of these refugees, they ended up going back to where they were running from. They go on vacation and they're gone from a lot of the year. So they're gone for like a month. Like I don't know if it's just like in the entire time of the school year or like a month at a time, but they take a lot of time out of school to go back to the place that they allegedly fled. Yeah, Baki pays lawyers to fill out citizenship applications for Burmese. They usually fail. This one was really funny too. They have to unenroll sometimes because they miss so much school. Yeah, because they're going back to the place that they allegedly fled. It's so scary. But hey, you know what? I'm going to take vacation there. All right, so I checked out a couple of the other ones too. This one's for $10.8 million. This one talks about awarding Purpose Quest DW Advanced Departments promise to create high-quality jobs and a skilled workforce and reflect the administration's comments on the COVID-19. But they bring in here immigrant and refugee and other underserved populations. All right, this one, another workforce one for $3.9 million. I actually had to chat GPT this, what's the difference between these two description? One of them was specifically for BIPOC, refugees, migrants, and the other one was underserved communities. I imagine there was something in the language that the lawyers didn't like, so make sure that they weren't specifically having everybody. These are all the underserved people, so we're just going to go focus on them, which you can see. Grant fund intended beneficiary: women, BIPOC, veterans, rural populations, low income, second chance, refugees, migrants, underemployed, incumbent workers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there is also another place called Immigrant Connection. This one's very interesting because I ended up looking up on InBiz. Actually, let me just Immigrant Connection. Let me just look it up. Oh, I got plenty of time. This one's really, this is a hell of a business. All right, so that was at, Olulia Road, this right here. Back. I didn't understand why there was a suite. I'm like, is this a actual big ass building? You motherfucker. I'm gonna wreck you is what I'm gonna do. Hold on. Dude, I don't know why the InBiz website does not work with the address. I know it's there. Because I just have a screenshot of it. Okay, you're going to piss me off. Whatever. I wonder if I could do it by name. Jennifer Rouse. Hold on. I know I can do it. The problem is, the InBiz thing will time out. Yeah. Aw. That's not it. That's all right. Well, screw it. Bam. Boom. There we go. Right there, baby. I knew I was going to get it one way or another. All right, so 13300 Oleo Road, and it has a bunch of suite numbers. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. So I go and Google map it, and it's at Wesleyan Church is where it's actually at. Hold on. I need to expand this a little bit. Boom, bam. There we go. Mike, I did not know Wesleyan Church was basically a like giant apartment building or like a complex. You can have all these business in there. So you have like city, what is it? Cry of India, the Wesleyan something, huh? The Wesleyan. Oh, how am I pronouncing Wesleyan? IFP, all these different places, but they have like a tax service too. The Pilgrim Holiness Church Corporation, Calcutta Mercy, Global Partners, Wesleyan Publishing House. The whole thing seems like a hell of an operation. I think this needs to be investigated. That's just me. And you know how I am not one to just throw those things out. It's like, hey, hey, Nazi, hey, bigot. It's like, no, I think this stuff should actually be investigated. But as given as public information, this is as far as I can go. All right. So then what I found today, this was actually really funny. Where is it? Not this one. There is a study that taxpayers are funding it through the Purdue University. It's the description is mental and physical health in children of Latino migrant farm workers, a multi-level longitudinal examination of risk and resilience of factors. So I think I found it. So Purdue has an HHS programs collaborate to study mental health of Latinx, rural and migrant worker families. So I go a little bit deeper. I'm like, man, this is actually something. Turns out it is. It's called the Purdue Puentes Project. Over the next 4 years, they will follow 307 Latin youth ages 10 to 15 in rural farm worker or agricultural families and their mothers. Our study objectives to learn how to chronic life stressors impact the mental and physical health and substance use in youth across. This is so dumb. This is just the biggest waste of almost $4 million. And yet we're funding that. Now, someone actually got a hold of my real phone number and like, hi. And by the way, I have no idea who it is. I know it's a 219 number, which means they're in Northwest Indiana. But they're like, hi, Steve. Actually, let me just pull it up real quick. This is where I'm going to have to change my phone number soon. I already know it. Because I'm not going to let's see, hold on. 219. Oh, they go, who are the people that approve this crap? And so I looked it up. It looks like the National Institute of Health under the Health and Human Services approved all this, which I thought was interesting. All right, so there was also another one. Where is it? That's not it. Where's the community one? Is this it? Yeah, here it is. All right, so public money is going to a nonprofit called Heartland Communities to run a refugee farm incubator with temporary land access, tools, and training. Apparently, Indiana would rather fund this for refugees than offer this help of some Hoosiers. So I looked at them up, and there looks like something's wrong with this guy. Not gonna lie, and it's all I don't even know what this is in. It's in Burmese, is what it is. Seems like it's a low wagey, cheap labor market farm right now. This is what I was talking about with the BIPOC DWD stuff. Oh, cool. Right on time. Sweet. All right. So this is what I ended up doing. I ended up breaking it all down by FSSA, by child services, because a lot of this money is also spending on trying to find of kids that are just left alone. And we know how this works. They come across the border using the child as a way to get in. It's like, oh, my poor child. What do I do? And then once they get across the border, they dropped off the child and then they're off. And so now you have all these unaccompanied children and they don't know what to do with them. And all these children obviously don't know how to speak English, so money's being spent on that. So I went from the last 10 years. This data is just from the last 10 years on some kind of refugee service that was obligated. $133 million. That's so far of what I can find just through FFSA. By the way, through Department of Child Services, through Indiana FSSA, through the Indiana Department of Health. And these were all the block grants, formula grants, whatever. And then it's all has to do with some kind of refugee program. A lot of money. And then through the Heartland Communities, over $1 million. Through the Burmese American Community Institute, $4.2 million. Something that's not talked about a lot too are these Catholic charities. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the state actually has a refugee program, whether it's for Afghans, Ukrainians, I think Burmese might be on there too. And they go through Exodus Refugee and they go through the Catholic charities, whether it's through Fort Wayne, whether it's through Indianapolis, so on and so forth. I think Evansville is in there, but through the obligation, it was $850,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I got to add these up. Oh, no, $853,000. Now, the PPP loans was really interesting. I thought this was super funny. So, between all the Catholic charities that I could find in Indiana, there was $1.8 million in PPP loans for these nonprofits, which I thought was insane. Exodus Refugee, $372,000 in PPP loans. So that's that one. All right. So then I started going through the Department of Education for some migrant education. And this is from the last 5 years, right? From 2015 until 2025. Now, this is all different. I really have a migrant education coordination program. Actually, let me look this up. Let me look at the $2.5 million one. I want to see this one real quick. It just says migrant education in the objectives to assist states in ensuring the migratory children have the opportunity to meet the same challenging state content and performance standards that all children are expected to meet. Listen, this is challenging. Hey, speaking English is challenging. We got to spend $2.5 million for it. So between all this is just teaching kids of how to speak English, if I had to guess. $28 million. I think this is just federal money. But, like half the state budget is from federal money as well. I think what we spend, I think for this year, we're spending $42 million on ESL, English Learning Services, or ELS, because we got a bunch of kids that don't know how to speak English. Yeah, no problem with private charities. That is where charity should take place, but when they rake in government. Yeah, exactly. When you're raking in government money, this is what I have such a huge problem with nonprofits in general. Because you're getting government money, but then how many nonprofits are getting their CEOs are getting paid $800,000 a year? A lot of the hospitals are a perfect example of that. When Eric Doden had his book and he was talking about how one of the people that he really likes or someone that he looks up to was the CEO of this hospital. I forgot. I think it's Riverview Health. And so I looked him up and he's getting paid over $500,000 a year as the president of this this hospital nonprofit. And I was like, wait a minute, aren't you guys always talking about how nurses are underpaid and stuff? But then these CEOs are getting gobs of money off of this nonprofit. Doesn't make any sense. That's why I have a huge problem with I get it, but I don't like it. The fact that they're having this avatar for athletes that have their charities or their nonprofit. We all know it's a tax write-off. Just be honest about it, okay? You're having this facade like you're doing this amazing thing because you're donating a certain amount of money. No, you're just paying less taxes. That's all it really comes down to. Yeah, someone is doing favors in that case, compromise. Yeah. Well, the other part is that people don't realize. You'll get money from the government, and then that money is being spent on some kind of construction company that certain politician has a stake in. United Way, Indiana CEO pay has been huge. Yeah, it's all. That's why I keep saying, as much as people don't want it to happen, the nonprofit game has been so abused that we just have to end it. We have to end the tax write-offs for it because now it's so out of control that you have no choice but to burn it down. There's no fixing it. Like everything else, there's a point where when you have a busted up car and what do they call it? Like a money pit. The nonprofits are basically a money pit. You're never going to fix it. The amount of oversight, same thing with Medicaid is another perfect example. There's so much, you try to have enough oversight, but you forget the human element. everybody's wanting to scam. So unless there's an actual consequence to people scamming the game, nothing will ever happen. Like that trustee that used up $1 million, took $1 million of taxpayer money to go on vacations with their family. That guy should be executed. Like, that's how you set the bar. That might be a little bit harsh, but it's like jaywalking. You take out a few and the rest of them will get the lesson. Clip that. Yeah, clip that. I'm sure everybody will love that, right? So anyway, yeah. That's where we're at with all this stuff. And this is why I'm pointing all this stuff out, though, because this is our money. As much as we talk about what's down the pipe right now, data centers are getting massive tax breaks. Tolls on 65 and 70 are right down the road. That's where they want to do. But then our money is being spent on this bullshit. We don't have to pay for this stuff. We take care of that. But we don't want to take care of that because everybody's got their hands down their pants and they're all whacking each other off with it. So, yeah, what are you going to do, you know? And with that, I don't know if the bills are going to come in on the IGA website. If they don't worry. I'll always have something to talk about. There's always something to talk about. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about on Saturday. But for D2 Indy that's in the chat right now, guess what is happening in 8 days? Not some kind of New Year's party. Nah, Bohachik Drill 2.0, baby. I don't know what time it's going to start, either 9 or 10 p.m. because I'm going to be drinking a lot of booze. I even got my new breathalyzer, too. I don't have to worry about this one breaking. Hopefully, I spent an extra $5 on a quality breathalyzer. So yeah, Bohachik Drill 2.0, December 31st, probably like 9 o'clock p.m. Gives me enough time to take some hard whiskey shots. It should be a lot of fun. But anyway, you guys have a good night. Love you guys. Bye.